Good afternoon. It is Thursday, September 30th, 2021. And today we had a downtrend day. It's really ending up looking like a range day, but you can see we had these overnight highs and lows, and we made a measured move right here, bounced, went a little further, and really the bias has been up since about 9:15 Pacific time. Making higher lows, higher highs. So not a lot of really great trades, I don't think. We'll take a second look, but a lot of them were just areas, prices are moving down, but the setup just isn't ideal. But yeah, we'll take a look. If you get chopped up on these days, if you're following the rules, I don't think you should be getting chopped up. I got messed up today because I didn't follow the rules, and we'll see what I did there. So let's take a look at these marked trades. So okay, I'm gonna pause the video because it looks like I forgot to mark some. I got everything now. So this actually comes in a little bit before 5 a.m. So if you're watching, that's second entry short off the EMA. That's price action traders bread and butter, as Mack says. So after that, first entry, second entry again. Yes, this is looking congestive, but this sets up at the top of congestion. So I probably would have had mine marked probably like this. So I do like that entry. Then we come down here, and this confirms this trend line. You might have it drawn like, I think you'd probably have it drawn like this. Confirms this trend line, and you get a second entry short up here. I would look at this as a double bottom. Second entry short here. You probably scalped out on this second entry, but that looks like one leg up. But that is a second entry short. First entry, failed second entry long right here. Here, I'll make this bigger. Failed second entry long, and we are clearly making lower highs and lower lows. So is this a lower low or a matching low? So this is a matching low. So you might be a little worried, but that's definitely a failed second entry long, and I like that setup. So I'm gonna take that. Then you get first failed second entry short, and if you're playing this like a range, and we got these matching lows right here, you might take that, and because that's a really good setup, even though it's a little congestive. All these dojis would probably keep me out, but that's a good setup. We bounce here. That makes us think that this is probably the top of the trend line. I looked at all this as a double top. First entry, failed second entry long. I really like that setup, and that would have gotten you like a 6-point runner, I think. Overshoot leads to a break, and I just want to point out, the reason overshoots usually lead to a break is these swing traders who, buy and at the top of the channel, once it overshoots, they're like, okay, I'm taking my profits now, and that's what happens. Is all the people taking their profits, it rockets back up and leads to a break. So the overshoot leads to a break. So you might want to do that as your runner strategy too. So 63, we get a break right here. You might take it at 53, and that makes it a 10-point runner. And so this would be an 8.5-point runner. Down here, you might get a 10-point runner. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I took this trade, and I didn't have time to get a runner, or change my entry to have a runner. But that's okay. This looks like a first. I guess you can't say it's a failed second entry short. This is very aggressive, but you might be playing this like a range, even though you probably shouldn't be after this swing high. But if you're playing it like a range, we get higher lows here, so you might think that way. This is a failure. This is actually a good failure. Oh, okay. No. This is definitely aggressive because we don't know if it's a range day yet. Prices are still within the overnight highs and lows. And so when you get this congestion here, this is highly congestive. But it is a first failed second entry short, so you might take that. You really might take that. And now I'm seeing you might take this first second entry short. It looks like you would have gotten burned though. So let's talk about why you might have gotten burnt here. Well, we're above the EMA. You got a doji right here. This is slightly congestive. So that's the only thing I can see. But I don't think you would take that because you probably aren't drawing your trend line just like that yet. I don't think. But yeah, if you took this one, and I have a secondary trend channel right here, you wouldn't have had that. That wouldn't have helped you because you wouldn't have had that by then. Then I have another secondary trend channel right here. You get a first entry, second entry short. This would have gotten you a runner as well. And again, like you might hold this until a convincing break of the channel, or you might hold this a runner on this till you get to the bottom of the channel, because that would get you 53.50, almost a 7-point runner. This one, let's talk about this one, because I looked at this. Look, this is a new high. You get it looks like a failure, but I don't think it is. You get a first entry, it tries to go down, doesn't, comes back up and tries, and then, so I don't know if you can enter below this bar, but this bar was really large, 16 ticks, so I didn't want to enter on that. But that would have gotten you a 6-point move. So this is the true failure right here. That's a pretty good setup. This is a second entry short though. And it's just aggressive because you're going into these lows. Otherwise, not very aggressive. If you had room to the lows, not very aggressive. Okay, so here, I looked at this as a double top, first, second entry, and I got burned here. So maybe double tests are not double tops. Okay, just be careful for that. Because on a double top, you reset the count. And so I was thinking when I was watching this, double test resets the count as well. And I looked at this as a failure. And another thing that might keep you out of this trade is that it didn't touch the EMA. So maybe you can go short on this bar on a failure. But yeah. So I was pretty, that kind of tripped me up. Because, yeah, I could tell that this was a downtrend, you know. So you just got to be careful with that, I guess. And the EMA, be careful with that. It didn't touch the EMA. Anyway, first entry, second entry short right here. This also makes a new high. So this is just a first entry, it looks like. This one's a first. This looks like a failure to me. But it also is a second entry short. But yeah, this is just the first entry, I think. First entry. And then we're too far from the EMA. Then we get this correction. Comes back, overshoots this channel, and touches the overnight lows. And that might be reason to enter here, but I don't think you can enter it here. This is the first failed second entry long. I don't think you can enter this because it closes above the EMA, unfortunately, and we don't get matching highs or a new high on this bar. Or else I would enter this and you could ride this thing all the way down. And this is all too far from the EMA. And then we get this congestion here. I'll probably draw it like something like this. Maybe. Okay, this is where we hit the measured move for the range. So you got to be really careful going short into this stuff. This is technically a second entry short, but you're going into the measured leg. This looks like one leg up, one leg of correction, so we can expect after this second leg up an entry maybe. So this is aggressive, but you might go short there. And again, if you do, you get a nice runner. But this is a new high, so we get a first entry, failed second entry long right here. It's a bit away from the EMA, but you might enter that. Another thing, that looks like congestion, so another reason you might not want to enter that. And then I got trapped again right here. This is congestion. I should have had my congestion lines drawn. That would have kept me out of this trade, but this is a first, second entry short. But yeah, if you have your congestion drawn, that's going into the midline. So, this is also a first, failed second entry long. Oof. So yeah, that unfortunately that fails. I guess I should have looked at it like we get this break. But then that's one leg of correction, that's two. So that wouldn't have helped you. This is congestion. That's all there is to it. This is just congestion. Make a new high, first entry, failed second entry long at the top of congestion. So it's also a second entry short. First and foremost, this is a second entry short because we don't want to take long failures in congestion. So it's second entry short. Additionally, it's a failed second entry long. Then we get a failure right here, but that's too far from the EMA. And what else? We're expecting a break back into congestion. Actually, that's not even a failed second entry long because we didn't make a new high. So never mind. But then we start correcting. That was from about 9:30 on. And you don't get a lot of good setups here. First entry, second entry long. It's below the EMA. So you don't want to go long here. And you might be going short like this, like on a failed breakout here. And that's aggressive, but I wouldn't blame you. Here you would have gotten chopped up. So at this point, you wouldn't enter this because that's serious congestion. No setup for a long here. I went short again like a dummy on a first, second entry right here and got chopped up. Overshoot leads to a break. First, failed second entry long. I think that's okay. This is clearly a channel down and we got that overshoot, so you might take that. And we start going up. First, failed second entry short. You might take that. I don't think you would, but that's also just 19 ticks. So, yeah, too far from the EMA. First entry, second entry doesn't trigger. This is congestive, but we get a bounce. And then we don't get a setup for a second entry long or a failure right here. And same thing here. This is congestion, first entry. This is the second entry, terrible signal bar. If you go long on here, you're going into the highs. So that's just not a good idea. And then, what is this? So we make these lows, and you get a first entry, second entry long off these lows and off the measured move. So you might take that, ride it back to the EMA. We bounce up here, and not surprisingly, there's a sell-off going on right now. So here you get a first entry, failed second entry, but that looks like too big of a signal bar for me. And now we're failing. Yeah, everyone's probably, all the longs are exiting. First, failed second entry right here. And yeah, so that's what I saw. I had a rough time today, and it wasn't. I started off well. We'll take a look. And I just want to say before I start, someone on YouTube in Mack's comments was saying like, "Oh, you should trade the MES. Like, there's nothing like the real money." And it's like, there's no rush. You should not be rushing into this. This is hard-earned money. The reason most of us get into this is because we're not making that much money and we want to be making a lot of money. So if I dig into my savings, I got a wife and a son. If I dig into my savings with only a year of experience on this stuff, that's irresponsible. Looks like there might be a setup coming up, but yeah, that's just irresponsible. Okay, no setup, but that is a second entry short if it breaks below. I don't have years of experience. I am still learning a ton every day, mostly behavior wise. So this would have been a good second entry, but the signal bar is no good. Mostly behavior, and that's why I started tracking my poor behavior each and every day on this spreadsheet. So today, did I have any first entries? No. Reversals? No. Failures and congestion? No. Did I take trades that were with bars bigger than 12 ticks? Yes. Trades a chart open? No. Engulfing bar, I took a trade on an engulfing bar and the signal bar ended up being a doji and I paid for it. Counter trend, we were trending up and I took a second entry short and I paid for it. Trades taken after 2 losses, 3, and yes, I paid for that too. So I know that I'm not ready to trade live. I've tried it a couple times and it didn't work out. So don't jump the gun. There's no rush. If you stay at this for 15 years, you're going to be making a ton of money. So there's just no rush. So let's take a look at the trades today. Okay, so this first trade, I didn't even end up marking it, but this is a new high and we get a first entry, failed second entry long. So this is aggressive and I actually should have probably marked this. But if you draw a level of support right here, you're going into that support. And look how it doesn't touch the EMA. I took something like that later in the day and I paid for it. So okay, this is a good trade right here. I looked at this as a double top. First entry, failed second entry long. I think that's a great trade. No problems with that. If you draw a level of support off these lows, bring it up to the highs, it works. And here, okay, so this is really what led to all the problems I had today. We get a bounce off of a confirmed level of resistance up here, okay, and then we make this lower high. I think maybe I got a little eager not taking this trade, and I looked at this as a double top. It's a double test, and maybe that doesn't reset the count. I thought of it as resetting the count. So we get this first entry, failed second entry long, and I went short there, and I think it's like a 3-tick failure, and it traps all those people. So really it ended up being a long trap, but people like me got trapped going short here too. So I think another thing is I think it didn't touch the EMA and don't reset the count on a double test. But I'll probably ask that question in the forum if we reset the count on a double test. But really, I just got trapped. That's all there is to it. And then here I get trapped again, and looks like I took a first. Yeah, okay, so this is congestive. Doji, 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 doji. And I went first entry, second entry short. I took an engulfing bar, which is just not a good idea. And we're in this tight congestion. So this trade I would have been okay with losing on and walking away for the day, but this one, just poor behavior, really. And then we come here, more congestion, and I took a second entry short, and it's into the middle of congestion. So That's the only thing that you could have had to help you see that this is not a good trade. Look at this doji right here too, and look these dojis. So then I took this trade. This trade is a good trade, but I was trying to get a runner based on a measured move, and that measured move never happened. But that did work out, and I just sacrificed my profits. And then this was a counter trend trade. First entry, second entry. We're clearly trending up here. Higher low right here, higher low right here, higher high. So, and this is a higher high too. So it's just counter trend trading. That's a pretty rookie mistake. That's okay. So I learned a lot today, and I hope everyone else did too. And I'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a good day.